Hey guys, welcome back to Olivegrey Avenue. My name's Ruth, and today we're going to be making over my mantle. It is very modern, very simple, very plain, which is fine, and I'm fine with that. However, it's not in great shape. It has some cracks, and I just have this itch to make it look nicer, so I'm going to try to do it really quick and easy and on a budget. When we first moved into this house, it had just this plain white mantle. I was okay with it, but I knew I wanted to change it. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. I've been thinking this whole time I wanted to do a thick wood beam, something like a railroad tie, but those aren't healthy to have in your home. So that's been the idea, but I've never been able to make it happen. I really wanted to give it a quick makeover with some trim, just something simple, but cover up the ugliness of the mantle and just make it look better. I got this millwork. I wanted it to be like flat on the top so I could just like put it up there. I cut these down. Let's put them up and see if I hate it or not. Pretty much as soon as I got the first piece of trim up, my heart sank. I really don't know how I feel about it yet. So, I didn't like it. And I was trying to push through and make it better because I thought I could make it look good, but I didn't realize that what I was doing was the exact trend in maybe early 2000s, and it's just not my style. So I just bit the bullet, ripped it all off, and just threw away 50 bucks for an experiment. Well, that escalated quickly. I guess we're building a new mantle because I ripped it down. Because I hated the other one. But I tried it, and then I knew what I wanted to do. Well, kind of. I was still in between doing the beam or something more modern, which is more my style. I like combining modern elements and traditional elements and things like that that make this transitional style, but leaning more towards the like modern side. Now my plan for the hard part, which is the angles, is to take a piece of white paper, put it under the frame, and then trace where I want the pieces of wood to go. And then I can get the angles from that. Hopefully it'll work. I have seen a friend make a really modern mantle. It's like a picture frame mantle. I have a couple friends actually who have beautiful ones, and it goes all the way to the ground. So I've always loved it, but I didn't think I could do it on my mantle because of it being in the corner, and I just didn't think it would work. I decided to give it a try. I bought some wood. I was not committing right away and just kind of holding it up and seeing if I liked it or not without wasting a bunch more money. This is literally the first cut that I made, 2 angles. See how far off I am. That looks almost perfect. I flipped the angles around and it's literally perfect. I got it on the first try. So this one is 28 degrees. This one is, no, this one's 26 degrees. This one's 28 degrees. Now I have to figure out the corner. It didn't help that Steve didn't like the idea. Not that he didn't like the picture frame, but he just didn't like it here either. But I take his opinion with a grain of salt because he doesn't have like that mental picture that I can get. So I have to be very literal with him and show him exactly what I'm trying to do. But when I'm unsure, his opinion weighs more heavily on me. So I'm trying to be considerate, but also knowing that he doesn't really see what I see. I finally just decided to make cuts, start doing it, and you know, if it fails again, then I don't know. Scrap piece after scrap piece after scrap piece, and we finally figured out the angle close enough, at least. It won't be exactly perfect. It should be pretty close, but it's okay because we're not done yet. We have another finishing step. All of our pieces basically ended up looking like this, teeny tiny, impossible to cut, but we figured it out, finally. It was honestly a very simple design, but it had some complications, which is the angles. There were studs still left in the wall from the original mantle, which made it easy to attach to the new one. I put the wood pieces on the outer edge, the outside frame, attached those, but then the angle was the hard part. Steve and I spent about 3 days trying to figure out the angles. I just started making cuts, just making up angles to see if it worked. The difficult part was that it had to be angled in multiple ways. It had to angle in towards the fireplace, and then we had the mitered edge where the 2 pieces of wood met in the corner. So theoretically, it should be simple, or it looks simple, but it was not simple. Steve tried to do math to figure it out. None of it worked. So we just started making cuts and changing as we needed to, depending on which way we needed to go. So once we got it figured out, it went so fast, and all the other cuts were very simple, but it had to be measured off that angled board, so that's what we were waiting on for everything else. We did try to secure things more. I made this little block to put at the bottom because I was being non-committal and I didn't want to drill through the tile. I didn't want to drill through the floor. So I wanted to epoxy glue it down so it would have that strength, but if I ever want to remove it again, then I don't have issues with the tile or the floor.
So we're using the block here, so I need to glue it down, and we're using Gorilla Epoxy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour enough into this mixing tray. When you push the plunger, both come out. We'll mix it for 20 seconds, and then we're going to apply it here, put this down, squeeze it. We have no way to really clamp it down, but we're just going to let it sit under its own weight for 5 minutes.
I wouldn't really recommend doing this. I would just go ahead and put an anchor down in the floor because later on, I think it popped off. I couldn't really tell because it was on the inside, but it didn't work out very well. So just put an anchor down in the floor or in the wall if you do something like this. So the angled pieces are all glued up. I cut the inside pieces. They're dry fit in here. They're just sitting here for now. So now I'm going to take them out. I'm going to glue them and brad nail them together and then put them back in there. But I had to make sure they fit perfectly. We cut everything and it worked. Look at it, it's beautiful.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It's a Christmas miracle. See how it angles in? That was giving us all the trouble. But look, it's so beautiful. This is okay because we are going to put trim over that. It's perfect. So the angled pieces are all glued up. I cut the inside pieces. They're dry fit in here. They're just sitting here for now. So now I'm going to take them out. I'm going to glue them and brad nail them together and then put them back in there. But I had to make sure they fit perfectly. The very last part of the mantle build is the plaster. I have been wanting to use Venetian plaster. I didn't really know where to use it.
So I thought this was a perfect opportunity. Although I do love the wood look, there are some cracks and things that needed to be fixed with wood filler, so it couldn't really just be left like that. If the seams were perfect, I might have leaned more towards keeping the wood raw or just sealing or staining it, but since it needed those repairs and things like that, I just decided to go ahead with my original plan of Venetian plaster. All right, guys, we have the plaster. We have everything taped off. I'm going to caulk, do some wood filler, which I'm actually gonna do Bondo, and then we're gonna get this thing plastered. It'll be all done. I hope it's beautiful. I've never used Venetian plaster before, but my friend has, and she gave me some pointers, so here we go. A lot of people ask me what the difference between paint and Venetian plaster is. Paint is just a very one-dimensional color. It's matte or sheen, but it's just one solid color. Venetian plaster, you do layers and coats, and it starts to look more like real stone. You can also do this technique called burnishing, where you take the putty knife and you press down really hard on the third or fourth coat, and then it starts getting this sheen, which we did start getting on this, not too much because it was difficult to maneuver on the little cracks and crevices and the angles on this fireplace. It was difficult, but well worth it. I would do it again.
All right, the fireplace mantle has the first coat on it. I don't love how like stark white it is, so I got another color of paint. It's quite a bit darker, but I only add a little bit. So hopefully it'll just give like the right amount of depth to it so it's not just white. And we're gonna do the second coat. Coat 2 is dry. I need a sand, but coat 2 is looking really good. There's a lot more like variation, but I need to get this going. I'm so ready to have it done. I think it's a gorgeous finish. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and it was well worth all the work. I ended up putting about 3 coats on the fireplace, mostly because I was running out of stuff, and it looked good. In the Venetian plaster mix, what I got is a powder, so I mixed water with it to the right ratio, and I actually added a little bit of paint to give it a little bit of color. Before it was just plain white, and it wasn't giving me the variation that I wanted in the color, so I added just a little bit of like a darker beige color, and it came out to be this beautiful color that I love. Enjoyed seeing the fireplace mantle come together. I am going to be doing another Venetian plaster project coming up here soon. So if you have any questions about the process or want to see anything different in the next video, drop it in the comment section below. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up, and we'll see you next time. Bye.